Oh, no.
Oh, we're live.
Yep. I'm gonna scoot over a little bit ski. Welcome to all of you. Longtime friend of the show, Jesse is over there.
Hey. I keep having to move my little note around. The breeze is blowing it.
Yeah.
But it's a note about revisions that I need to make sure I double check.
Добрый день, Viti. I don't know how you say that. What's the in the dative?
What's what?
The in the dative.
I don't even know what
Russian.
that is in whatever form it's in as you said it.
Russian.
Well, I know it's the Russian language, but what does it mean? What is the word you've said?
Добрый день is good day. Добрый день.
Oh, and then you were trying to say like to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
I refuse to use the formal with Danielle.
Interesting.
You must always address a dandelion as if it is your friend.
I agree with that. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Ow!
I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, that's it. Of course.
I'm a little concerned that David may have just fallen apart in front of my eyes.
Now.
Okay.
Everybody, just try to stay calm. Let's all be cool. Nobody needs to raise any red flags about when the stream started or didn't start, or who has or hasn't reviewed the poll, because I'm now caught up to date and am ready to lang. Okay. Oh, hello, anime fan. Let's all pour one out for Cupcake Parade.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, the numbers. That's why.
Oh yeah.
That's why Bubba's excited.
The poll this week was the number poll.
Listen, I momentarily forgot everything because we just got home 2 days ago.
Yeah, we had a fantastic little trip to Philadelphia.
We did. But it also like threw off my entire internal schedule. So like I'm a little confused how this is Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to remember what happened in the last week is very, very difficult. But like amazing trip, incredible food. We ate so much good food on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Jonathan, it doesn't feel like a Thursday, right? Like it totally feels like a Tuesday. We should be watching Booba right now.
It's weird because Jonathan's name means Thursday.
Jonathan?
I mean, don't you, when you look at the name Jonathan, don't you think Thursday? Like if you had to think a day, Jonathan would obviously be Thursday.
I don't know. But anyway, okay, so
Jake's been in the weeds of this Thursday and is feeling this Thursday deeply.
Oh, and Ragdoll is confused too, but in an opposite direction. Well, same direction, because I think it's earlier in the week. So does Ragdoll. It's just Ragdoll's already a day ahead of us.
This may be a 2 Copico day for me.
We'll see. You got to earn it.
Dang. All right.
Let's figure out this poll first.
Starting.
And David,
Ja.
I would like to put in like the top box of priorities for this language as we keep working.
Language name.
Yes. Like I'm tired of looking at this opening page of the Fox language and one, just calling it Fox, and two, seeing it just say LangTime reference. It's like I'm ready for a name to be put in there. And I get it if we don't quite get there today, but I do want it on our radars up there for like upcoming things.
Totally understood. let's get this poll out of the way because in order for everybody to see the poll properly, I have to not keep chat on the front. Otherwise, it does this weird double chat thing.
Oh, yeah.
So let's take care of that. Now this poll, I may have mentioned this in the last stream, but we had this poll in our back pocket from like before we even started the Fox language, because we had this idea going way back that the Haugoff number system was going to be a combination of 3 separate systems: a base 6 system, a base 11 system, and a base 18 system. And we voted on all those and where the physical bases for these would come from during season 5. And the theory was that these systems were going to belong to 3 different groups of dogs. And that in the unified language, they would combine elements of the 3 systems. And so as we come to the foxes, it's like, well, they're going to use one of those 3. And so we always knew they were going to use base 6, base 11, or base 18. We didn't know which one. Anyway, somehow it came up because we never did glyphs for numbers in Haugoff during season 5. We ended up doing it because we felt like we needed it during a patron live stream. And so in order to come up with the glyph shapes, we had to go back and think about how exactly they were coming about. Anyway, so we started having a discussion in the Haugoff channel about glyph shapes. And that led to ideas about what the Fox system could be. And basically, there were good ideas for every system. There were really stellar ideas behind base 6, base 11, and base 18. So we're like, all right, when we eventually get to the Fox language, we're going to have this poll at some point. So this was ready-made. And I'll kind of go over in short form the justifications for each of these. It really was just a fun poll. So starting with base 6. First, Jake said Fox 6s, and it doesn't roll off the tongue, but visually it's like perfect. Visually, it looks amazing. Very compelling argument just on its own. Anyway, also with our foxes will be introduced the Gambler class, and that's going to be one of their 5-star classes. And in base 6, the number 7 is written 1-1. So 7 is 11.
Oh.
And that's just like, oh.
That's gambling all the way through.
Lovely. Now, we included, because there were different shapes, obviously this is going to be filtered through Haugoff's style. So we're going to do an entirely different style for this language. But these are the base 6 glyphs that are present in the Haugoff number system. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right? Next, base 11. Obviously, 11 is right there for the gambling aspect. I linked to the Sammy Davis Jr. song, Yo 11, which you've never seen the original Ocean's 11, right?
I don't know.
With the actual Rat Pack. Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy
I know
Davis
what
Jr.
you're talking about. Like, I actually don't know, because it feels like I may have, but if I did, I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
And you know how that goes.
It's a silly movie. There is, though it's actually like the Ocean's 11 that was done, I like how the remake was a real remake of it. And the ending is slightly different. And it's interesting because the ending is like exactly the same, but opposite. And so it pays to watch it. But yeah, towards the beginning of the movie, they just have something that couldn't happen outside of the 60s or maybe early 70s if it was. They have Sammy Davis Jr. singing this song, Yo 11, and it's just so campy and dated. And it's clearly like, hey, Sammy Davis Jr., he's a singer, we got to do something. So
sing a song.
Yeah, anyway. So that's what made me think of this. Also, 11 is kind of like halfway in between 6 and 18. It's kind of a nice resting point. So that was the argument in favor of 11. And
12 feels a little slighted by you saying that.
I know.
Sure.
I know. And those are the glyphs associated with it. That is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for those. Now for base 18, this is 18 is Bubba's favorite number. That was really the main argument in favor of base 18. Also, the idea is that if they originally had the biggest system and ultimately Haugoff is going to be base 18 beyond 18, it's like, why don't you just keep the system? This could be motivation for the foxes, just another little thing, for the foxes separating from the dog confederation. It's like, and another thing. Anyway, and these are the glyphs for base 18. These are 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I actually don't know how these work because this one's 0. So that should be 17. I don't know. Anyway. But that was it. So those are the 3 options. The poll, everything got votes. Everything had representation. The ones that came in 2nd and 3rd place were nearly tied. But there was a very clear winner, and that clear winner was base 6. There you go.
And
All right.
Jake mentioned you do need to do a stronger stress on that initial syllable to really get the foxes.
Foxes.
Because otherwise it just sounds like you're saying fox sixes.
Foxes. Foxes.
So you gotta foxes.
Foxes. All right. So yeah, glad we have that.
Wow, and this means because
we got the words for it.
Sarcasé is base 6, right? Or is it base
Sarcasé
12?
is base 10.
I thought we were doing polydactyl cats. Didn't we do polydactyl?
Wouldn't that be base 8?
They would have
Shoot.
6 on each hand, I thought.
Anybody remember? One of them is base 10, and I know it's not Haugoff.
Okay.
Also, quick little program reminder. Be sure to tune in yesterday for Let's Have a Booba. And when I say yesterday, I mean Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Let's Have a Booba at 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Woo. And on Saturday, Tongues and Runes with George Corley at 6 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, it's nice because for those outside of the United States, George's is not on a weekday, and it's at a radically different time.
Yeah. It really does help to cover the spectrum. It's sort of like, as a department, when you're trying to decide when to offer classes, to make sure students can have a variety of times to choose from. And you're always grateful for those professors who are like, I'll teach the 8 a.m. classes. And then on the other side, I'm grateful for the professors who say, I like to teach in the evening. And I'm like, thank you. I'll take the afternoon. And so I was always very grateful for that. And so, George, I feel like you really helped to cover this sort of gap of online streamery for conlanging fun. And you really hit a time that I don't think we would have ever picked, and we're grateful for that.
So, by the way, we've got the roundup here in the chat, Bubba. Thank you very much.
Yes, because this whole time I was
Yep.
trying to open the Sarcasé document. Like, that's how long it took to download and open. And then, of course, Bubba's over here just giving us everything we asked for. You're amazing. Thank you, Bubba.
So foxes are base 6. Beavers are the ones that are base 10.
Yes.
I remembered it being recent. Haugoff is base 18. Cats are base 12. The opossums are base 6, just like our foxes. So they'll get along. And the mice are base 8, and of course the rabbits are base 30.
Oh, those early days when we put too many options in polls for patrons to vote on, and then we end up with a language with a base 30 counting system, an abjad that's actually based on vowels instead of consonants, but doesn't make sense for the overall language structure. And a vertical rating system.
Mm-hmm.
We made some mistakes.
Yeah. Also, the original version of the orthography wasn't very good. So, shout out to Barry and Carl, who helped me retool it because it looks dynamite now. All right. So now we can actually. We haven't talked about modifiers in case or anything like that, but we'd actually put the numbers in.
Yeah.
Because in theory, those numbers are going to come from the same place.
By the way, Carl is here. And for That was meant to say, hey, Carl. And Magpie, I get that a lot of students are less pleased by those 8 a.m. Slots, but I will say when I was in college, I was a different person before I met David, I swear. When I was in college, I actually preferred the morning classes because I loved being finished with my entire day before noon hit. And like when all my friends are dragging their books off to classes and having to leave rooms, I was like in the room able to be like, I'm done, and got to spend the rest of the day doing whatever I wanted. It was delightful.
But like the whole thing that you have to do for the day in college is do classes and work.
Yeah, but if you get that all done before noon, then you can like chill, you can take time and then get your homework done before evening, so then in the evenings you can just like watch TV and not worry about it. It's really great.
Remind me of Jeff Winger. He's getting priority scheduling. Put all your classes on a Monday, 6-day weekend.
No, that's awful.
Uh,
Okay.
okay.
Inputting numbers. You said
Yeah.
we could input them.
Yeah, so let's scroll on down to the red.
Well, Jonathan, I will say I was very fortunate. Well, I don't know if I'm fortunate. I chose to live on campus for the duration, well, except for my 1 year in Germany. But I lived on campus. And so having awkward gaps between classes, it did mean like, my schedule, I had to remember I had a class later. But my dorm room was always right there, so I could just walk back to my room and walk back to class later.
Do you see what I'm doing?
I see you are changing the number chart. Is that?
Yeah, I figured since we're base 6, we might as well do these in increments of 6. I was wondering if you could. Yeah, never mind, I'm almost.
I'm getting there. Do you want me to keep going up the other side or wait until we decide what bigger forms we want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wait. Alright, so now this is Hauchoff. And this is going to be modern forms, not proto, though proto is very close to modern for Hauchoff, which is not bad.
Sorry. Miles just wrote,
Oh, we only did 4.
we made chicken breast smoothies. And I just need everyone to hear that. And I need David to acknowledge this.
Miles, let's have a
What?
chat. Just you and I. You've made mistakes in your life.
That is.
This is one of them.
Yeah, Languages, exactly. You made what now? Exactly. I don't. Okay. So anyway, like I don't even know. Thank you, Bubba, for the demand. To extract proteins, but like what do you do with a smoothie except drink it?
Oh, I see. So like in a science sense, like in a scientific sense, I thought I read that as in like, a bulking up sense.
Right.
That's what I read it as, like
right,
a
because
bodybuilder.
I was thinking that you just need more protein, and a lot of people instead,
Not
I
for
guess,
drinking, but for biochemistry lab, unlike the actual person on a Japanese reality show for drinking. Okay.
Okay. So, side note, why do you call it a smoothie?
Yeah.
Why can't it be called something else?
Yeah, that was just a process you engaged in. But also, like, Jake, I have to say, for me, it's not living with too many young gym bros. It's seeing the things that my sister sends to me on Instagram, those videos of appalling and atrocious food. And sometimes it's honestly, I would tell you, it's very difficult to tell the difference between the ones that are rage bait, so they're doing things just to make you angry for clicks, and the ones that are actually sincere bodybuilding ones, like, check out what I just did, like, because they're nearly indistinguishable. Strange world we live in. Slurry is a good word for that. Okay, so I'm seeing that we only have words for 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we can import those. But
What happened to 5 and 6, David?
7, 8, 9.
Doesn't answer 5 and 6, does it? That answers what happened to 9.
All right, let's open up Lexergy.
Oh, Kobe. Where do you happen to hail from, if you don't mind answering, Kobe?
Lexergy. I
but yeah.
hardly knew her G.
Midwestern and Southern recipes. Sticks of butter. You measure things and how many sticks you need, not even how many tablespoons or anything else. Ah, UK. Okay, Kobe. Perhaps not as much butter in your bacon. And by that, I meant baking. That's just how I say bacon when I'm going fast. But normally when I cook the actual bacon, I do not add butter normally. You're right, Jonathan. At a certain point, you should say how many branches of butter instead of sticks. Because I swear there's, especially when I'm doing like pastries and stuff, where it's like, man, I need 4 whole sticks of butter. That sounds like a branch of butter, don't you think? And I feel like that would be a better way to do that. Kobe says the Midwestern salads with the jelly is a lot. I'm sure.
Yes, there is a gender-neutral form of address in Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I don't know if that came from Star Trek: The Next Generation or the original Star Trek. But their theory was that sir was just a term of respect that no longer had a gender tied to it.
Ooh, Jake says in Filipino you can get ma'am, sir.
If it were Battlestar Galactica, they would have come up with a word that was just slightly different, like Zer.
Ooh, or myrrh. Ma'am and sir put together. Myrrh. Hey, myrrh. Cream cheese, lime jello, nutter. I think you mean nut butter, maybe? Shortening. And ready whip. You always have to have the ready whip on top. I think I know the exact salad you're talking about, Kobe. You mean pistachios. Maybe that's what you mean by nutter. So I think there is definitely one with, well, it depends on where you're from. I didn't get a lot of pistachios where I grew up, so I feel like we substituted a lot of those with like walnuts. But the green jello salad is what you're talking about. And I will say, whew, potluck's not the same unless you got the green jello salad.
All right, so we've got in Hauhof we have
butter. Gotcha.
We have L for Gwet and Bob. Bob. In the Fox language, Au for Gvis and Bob.
I like it.
Gvis I'm especially fond of.
Me too. And now, to move forward.
Yeah. So I mean, we put those in the system there. I don't know if we want to try to create entries for them or just leave it at that, because I don't. We'd have to discuss how numbers are being treated. They're treated like nouns in Hauhof, and there's a particular way that you have to do number counting, and then if you use them as an adjective, then they're ordinals. If am I remembering right that we didn't end up using any of the plural options that involved numbers?
In the Fox?
Yeah.
I think we only did the one that was from, we only did one plural, right?
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
And it drove Drove from something that started with an H.
Ay, ay, ay. Where is our note about the protoform of plural? We don't have a note anywhere about where it came from. Which means I need to go back into the Document.
Oh!
Yes, the document. Oh my goodness, my foot just fell asleep, David.
Put another one up on the counter. Jesse's foot falling asleep.
Hey, fur. It comes from fur.
Comes from fur, yeah.
Harm.
All right, so we didn't do anything with the numbers, so we're free to do something different or copy Haukoff. Does not matter.
Where are our notes here? Do the sound changes. I'm gonna move ideas down. Ooh, I didn't mean for this to be so big, but it was big.
Yeah, everybody saw the results of it. Great, now this chicken smoothie talk is making me think of fried chicken.
Oh, I would love some fried chicken.
I would love some fried chicken.
Okay. Plural. Ooh. There we go. Okay. I've got this started. And I need to select a custom image to get a fox bullet point.
There's a guy in season 2 of White Lotus that is from Essex. You have to watch it and tell us how the accent is. And also how well he represents your fair region. Okay.
Oh no, that is a little bit large. I think we'll go with 80. Okay. Have we grammaticalized something for verbs yet?
Jake is saying, I think Jake is responding to us. Yeah, he says, I gave Miles a running commentary. I do remember this. It was scathing. Okay.
Okay, so interesting. I actually thought with season, well, I don't want to say too much because it could end up being a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
But never mind. So I won't say anything. David.
Yeah.
I added a little. Do you see my little grammaticalization area and on top of our ideas?
Let's take a look.
And so now.
Oh, look at that. They're little foxes.
Now we have some foxy grammaticalization.
So yeah, we got verb forms and everything. We got agreement. That's all we have, isn't it?
We do, but where did it come from? Something I could put here? I don't remember where it came from. I don't remember anything, babe. Did it just come from the pronouns?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, we're
and then we also had, remember the analogy. Because we ended up having the plurals.
Sorry, I missed what you just said.
We ended up having both of the plurals ended with the.
Oh.
And so then there was analogy for third person plural.
Okay.
You just added an A and a.
David.
Yeah.
Well, one, Miles thinks Freya has brainwashed us both. Cute little puppy that we spent a week with. And David, the non-dog person, really enjoyed his time with the dog.
It was a good pup.
All right, I think if we can get a form for 5, potentially a form for 6, although we'll talk about how we want to treat that, because that's the 10 of the language. If we can at least get a form for 5, I'll give you a Kopiko. And that's, we're still in the first 33 minutes of the stream, so
that's good.
I'm ready to jump the gun, but only if we have at least a form for 5.
Okay, then let's do this. Because Gvis is really fun. Let's create something that will sound pretty different in the 2 languages.
For number 5. What was the form in Helgoff again? I feel like you just said it.
There is no Helgoff form for number 5. We're creating it.
We just legit skipped that number.
We didn't skip it. We stopped at 4.
Five, I believe, is the form. Oh my goodness. Wow, Bubba, how are you letting us slide? Goodness gracious. Great balls of fire.
So we don't have a word for dew claw or claw. But there's 5 digits, yeah?
That's what we had. I thought we had this discussion where we had decided, because the bigger dogs, the dew claw is much more prominent, that would have developed much faster. But I will say, Freya had some prominent dew claws.
What about foxes? Do they have that?
Have dew claws. Did you know red foxes' forepaws have 5 toes? Their hind feet only have 4. Maybe that's what we had done. Like the forepaws of dogs maybe also have 5. How many toes does a dog have? The front paw has 5. Back only has 4, and that's where you get the dew claw. No, wait. It says one of them is the dew claw. Anyway. Usually not a dew claw on the back. So we had decided that would develop, because actually if you look at the location of it on a lot of dogs, it is close enough that it's it would be there. Now let me go back to the fox page. This says they do not have dew claws, they just have 5 toes, if this post is to be believed.
Well, it would stand to reason then that they might use the word for paw as their word for 5.
Do we have a word for paw?
Yeah, and it'll end up looking exactly the same in both languages, but this could be interesting. This word for for paw, formerly paw, is now the word for foot. In Halkoff. It wouldn't make sense for it to be foot, though, in the in the fox language, because their feet don't have 5 toes. Only their hands do. So it could make sense for it to be the word for hand. And so for the word for hand in the fox language could be the word for foot in the dog language. And they could both be the number 5.
I thought I was following you. I made a mistake of reading comments, and George is under a tornado watch right now, and so then my brain kind of went to the side a little bit.
There are other places in the world.
Then you just said, why would the paws change from dogs to foxes?
Because of the number of digits.
Well, no, I'm reading something else here that says no, foxes do have a dew claw, and it's the same as dogs, basically, 4 and a dew claw. So I think that other post was wrong. This is from Wildlife Online at UK. And so I think they're actually much.
All right. Well, as you know, I take Bibluridian as a source over everything.
I believe Bibluridian too.
Yep.
Also, did you know, David, that the underside, where the little paw pads are on a fox's paw, they're covered in fur?
Really?
Yeah, like you can see where the pads are, but they're covered by fur, and that apparently helps reduce heat loss, and it muffles the sounds they make when they're stalking prey.
That's I like that.
Yeah, here's the footprint. It's definitely the same as a dog. I mean, we already knew that because Bib just told us, and we both believe Bib. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, long and short, I think maybe they have a different word for foot. I don't know. But the issue is that ultimately, this word in its proto-state meant paw. No distinction between foot or hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it could very well end up meaning hand in one language and foot in another.
It definitely could, and it could still be the source of 5. It was just the way you had connected it just made my brain skip a minute. So, yeah. Bibluridian says that rabbits also have furry paws. That's right. #BelieveBib.
I'm going to go ahead and enter that as the word for 5 in the Fox language. Now, do we want the same word for foot as... No, we do.
I want to point out Jake's comments. I think it's very true.
The Jake?
Jake says, I think the only person who does not always believe Bib may be Bib himself.
Oh.
That's deep
That
and
is deep.
true.
Man.
A little truth bomb for you.
Oof. Things getting stunning here in this episode of LangTime Studio.
Oh, yes, you're entering things, which means I need to be paying attention.
I'm going down to the place that I left uptown. Finding a fix 'cause I'm going down.
Well, I saw you, but I don't see an entry for 5 yet. 5 is hard. Okay. R.
Yeah, that's good. I'm also going to do this. We don't have parentheses in this language? What do we have?
Why would we have parentheses?
Well, we don't have a question mark? What's the deal with this font? Like, even if we don't have it, I usually have it resolved to something. This is
My
disappointing.
God, you could make it resolve to a picture of a dog.
I mean, I usually have it be some other punctuation. All right.
We for one project we were working on, we needed to very clearly have something mark when we typed something wrong, and David chose this great little emoticon, like a box face. And
Yeah, it's a little
so now
smiley.
now it makes me happy when I type something wrong, because it's like, whoops, and then I get a little emoticon smiling back at me saying, no, you don't, not with that.
This will be quintet. I'm going to add those And when I say 6, of course, I meant 5. And I meant it there too.
Ooh. I entered 5, but not quintet. So I'm going to put quintet down on the English side. Ooh. And we need quintet. You know why?
Why?
It's going to be our second keyword, so we can delete the XXX.
Ooh.
Which means I guess I didn't enter quartet. Because quartet
That would
is
stand to reason.
B with a dot under. Well, look at that. In one little go here, we have quintet, quartet, and quiet in our cues.
Nice.
Okay, now are you in the Fox language?
Yes. And there it is. Arr. Arr.
Okay, but for the Fox language, you've only put it in the chart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Had to make sure I didn't make it in the dictionary. Because if it did, my dictionary is not up to date with what you're typing. And I was like, oh no. Which, by the way, everyone, this happened more recently where we were both working on a document and nothing that David was doing was showing up on my end. And it was dreadful. And I had to like restart the computer and everything. So anyway, I was worried another one of those situations had happened. Have a Kopi Cope.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, partner. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm.
You throwing your trash on my side?
Kopiko, don't throw that trash on my side.
I gave you a look.
All right. Now,
Oh, David's going to pick up the trash.
you're in charge.
Arr. Wow, we have... How do you say the umlaut AW? Ow?
Yep.
We have owl as 1 and R as 5. That seems fun. Okay. Oh, I know what else I was going to do. There was something that was in my brain and I was like trying to remember what it was. I'm going to try to find the little face that I mean. You know what? I think it was actually that David created it in the little font thing that we were working on. That's why, the little box face. David, did you actually create that box face?
Yep.
David created it. I went to look to see if I could like pull it up as like an emoticon. David made a smiley face for me because I thought he had just put like something in that would make me happy because he had specifically mentioned it. Like next time you make a mistake, you're going to enjoy what you see. He made that just for me. That is so sweet. He deserves that, Kopiko. Ooh, an Andy's egg mint. That's fun. We are now ready to either think about number 6 to at least get the form of 10, or we are ready to jump ship and start something new. Madeline is here.
The Madeline?
Yeah.
Madeline James World Builds. I suppose it would be a noun in the plural. World builds.
I thought it was world building. Did I just make that up? Has this always been your name, Madeline?
Maybe it's
In my head, it was an ing, not an s.
maybe she changed it so that people wouldn't think that James was a verb. Madeline James, world building.
Mm. Okay. I have a small cut on the roof of my mouth, that same one I told you about before, right?
Yep.
Makes that hard candy very difficult. Very painful. Oh. It's a different one. Rights is your normal name, not world build. Okay. And then this is your secondary channel, your new channel rather, not necessarily secondary, but new. And it's a play on that, verbing that. Very cool. Magpie. Okay.
I'm really enjoying this Copico.
Yeah, Madeline, we're going to keep you busy as we come up with other ideas that you could do, other verbs you could have in there.
Madeline rhymes with rattling and battling.
Actually, I think, okay, Madeline, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I think you actually do like classes and stuff where you battle and you learn how to use like the weapons, like swords and stuff. I think Madeline does that. So Madeline battling could be a thing.
Yeah, I think it was Hema. But yeah.
I was right. Nice.
Okay.
You'll have a hell of a good time.
Okay. All right.
David, would you rather tackle another number?
I'd rather just go to sleep. Can we do that? It's going to be the... Oh, well, no, wait. There's no writing system there yet. It's going to be the equivalent of 10. So it's probably going to be its own root. I don't remember if we want to base it off anything. Most of the ideas that are jumping to mind are like adjectival in nature, and adjectives are kind of a sore subject in this area of the...
Why am I looking in here? I need to be looking in Helva
language tree.
For vocab. Okay, babe, I've got an idea that you're either going to be just absolutely delighted by, or you're going to be like, pass.
Okay.
Whatever their word used to be, they early enough on sort of changed what they did for number 6. So this could be like a different number 6 from what Hauhoff uses.
It is a different number 6 from what Hauhoff uses.
Good.
Hauhoff borrows it from a different language.
Good. It's different. I forgot how those numbers worked and where they switched. Their number 6 comes from something like a word for bag or pile. As gamblers, full 10, you win the pot.
Okay. I like that.
And so something that indicates full, all.
You think that should be 10 and not 100?
Okay, we could do that instead. We don't have any of the words we need, so we're going to be creating a lot. We don't have pile, bag, heap, pot.
Stack? Like for this, I think stack would do well. We do not have a verb for to stack. That's something I think we could have. We can and should have. Let's start with Hauhoff. Create that verb. Now, while we're creating something new, we can create something that sounds very different in Hauhoff and the Fox language.
So like something with an aspirated stop, or something with like pharyngeal, I think did some changes.
Okay. So if it starts with a t, it'll come out as a s. It starts with a k, it'll come out as a ch. Let's do ta. It comes out as an S. So what that is tai tells you I'm stacking something.
Well, I hear you going, took, took, or with a Q even, took, took.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Tuch comes out as sucks. But, such. So it would be...
it could also be took with a, Q, W, labialized.
Sukfa. Sukfa in the Fox language. Tuchu in the dog language. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to start with creating the verb because it's not going to actually come out as a number in Hauchoff.
Tok is to smell. Tuk is to stack. Very different Q's and T's there, though.
All right. Here. Okay. I don't know. So I think this is just going to be Tukw, yeah?
Oh, for how to spell it?
Yeah.
It's QW.
Sure is. Thank you. I always like that one. Reminds me of the 60s.
The glyph?
Yeah, the Q, W.
Right, so to stack is tukhu. Put that down here.
Imagine Audrey Hepburn wearing black with some guy in a black turtleneck. Under my thumb, the girl, etc. When I don't listen to the radio, which I haven't been in a while, I just don't really hear the Rolling Stones much anymore. The radio is pretty much the only place where I heard the Rolling Stones.
Does that mean you don't like them?
I don't dislike them. I just don't think that they are as relevant a band as, say, the Kinks. I find them to be on that level. And yet we are told that the Stones are the equivalent of the Mighty Beatles. I don't think that's true.
Also, really fun side note, because I just put stack down on the English side.
Yeah.
Squirrel is kechu, and then stack is tuchu. And so kechu tuchu, squirrel stack.
I like that. All right. Didn't mean to do that. Now I'm going to add that to the T's right there. Okay. And I'm going to remind myself. Sukha. Nice.
Oh. Yes. Oh, sorry. Did you want that to be 10 or 100?
Just 10.
Okay.
I like your etymological idea that you had originally for 100.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
this is just a stack is 10.
Yeah.
And then the whole shebang will be 100.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Actually, then, while we're there, because David,
Yeah.
we don't remember a lot, and we may move this.
Fuck success.
Bag, pot, pile.
When foxes do well, that's called foxess.
Okay, so I put that in the chart. I actually put like a note and a note underneath it. So hopefully we remember between those two little notes
Mm-hmm.
what our intenses had been. Because I don't know if you know this about us, David. We say a lot of things, and then we forget a lot of things. Yeah.
Not like Biblaridian. He says stuff, he means it, and he remembers it.
All of it. All of it.
Man. Yeah. Yes, Jonathan. We should,
I.e. 36. There we go.
but the numbers on the left are actually our numbers.
Do you know this is why?
Mm-hmm.
This is why.
I can't wait to hear this.
And whenever I was doing a non-base 10 language, I started using images. So that way my brain was like quantity versus what the grouping means in that language. Because that's the way I finally made peace with non-base 10 number bases, was to actually pictify what was going on. Now it makes the charts really big, but let me tell you,
Basis of languages.
let me tell you, it really, really, really helped me. Because otherwise, one, I couldn't remember whenever I went back into a language, I couldn't remember if I had been documenting according to, you know, like their numbers or ours. And two, it also really threw me off to say like 36 is 100. And it's like, just, yeah, trying to remember that. Whereas if I have the little emoji or pictographs or whatever, it helps me keep track.
Yeah.
And that was actually because I was working on a project that David and I were working on. I had to be very comfortable with the counting system, and it was base 6, and I had to get very comfortable. And that's what I started doing, was drawing little, they were just little dots because I needed it to be smaller. But
As soon as we have a writing system, they'll be there, you know. But yeah, we should,
yeah, and then so for anyone who's seen my Nissa language counting charts, that was, oh, I think I wrote it up, put it on the website too. So I think I wrote it up because, you know, Bubba wanted to know more about the numbers. But you'll see, like, I use, you know, by the time I get up to their concept of like 100, I insert like, I think a mosquito was the 100 as a grouping, so that way I could just have like 2 mosquitoes be 200 or whatever, and built up from there.
20, 30, 40, and then so 50, 60, 50, but then there is no 60, so it'd just be 100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what our bigger units should be. Like, we could just pretend 1,000 doesn't exist. Probably isn't useful. Probably isn't useful. But we're just gonna do this one. There you go. All right.
I will say, I know like 100 can be a confusing word to use, but it is a solid grouping word to just remind yourself what that concept means. And it's, the base, squared base of whatever you're doing.
Okay. So nouns are complete. Nouns are done. Verbs have agreement. And we have it written up. Verbs don't have any tense at the moment.
It's because they're always chill.
Yeah. So either we expand on verbs or we move into and decide how we're going to do adjectives.
Depending on where we want to get the language name from, one of those will be a better way to go. Because if we want it to be something that's derived from a verb form, then I think we need to know a little bit more about what verbs do, etc. But if we're going to do something that's more nouny based with, say, a modifier, then I would like to go that direction. And so my question to you is, what are you feeling?
I figured something based on actually the word for fox.
I love it. So let's go modifier.
Okay. All right. So our cases and our numbers are all prefixal. Completely and totally.
And the way fur is being used to create the plural, is fur being used as a modifier for the noun, or is it being used as the head noun with like the noun after it modifying?
I have no idea. That was something we decided on in Haugoff and we didn't have to remember.
Cool.
But based on what I'm seeing here, either it is just repeating the prefix just for the sake of tintinnabulation, or it's unmodified. There's also a potential argument that I don't know what it comes from necessarily for having a non-nominative form. Non-nominative or plural. Sorry,
I got really distracted. Tintinnabulation, I looked it up, so I now know what it means. But where did this come from? Why did you say this word?
John Milton.
Well, that's fine, but why in this context? Like, I just heard you say that word, my brain totally stopped, so I lost all of the context of what you were saying. What?
So, in the introduction to Paradise Lost, where it's still in poetry, John Milton does a number of things. Number one, he says the purpose for doing the epic poem, to explain the ways of God to men. And second, he defends his usage of blank verse. Blank verse is unrhymed heroic couplets, iambic pentameter. Okay. And he describes, bless you, he describes rhyme as essentially a little jingling at the end of the line that he finds trite, cheap. And so he says that he will not do it. He will not have rhyme. And I'm fairly sure in these lines where he just says that he's not going to be rhyming, he uses the word tintinnabulation to refer to the jingling at the end of the lines. Many folks my age who had similar interests will have seen the word tintinnabulation for the first time in Final Fantasy VI, marketed here as Final Fantasy III. because there's an item that essentially gives you 1 gold for every step you take that you get late in the game. That is called the tintinabulation or something like that. Exactly is it called? Now I'm super curious. Final Fantasy 6. Tintinabulum. Oh, Tintinabar.
Wait, Tintinabar is a word?
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's called the cat's bell later on. So, I don't know why it got translated like this into English. It's, in Japanese, it's Tamanosuzu, which is cat's bell. But, oh, tomcat, I get it. Tama. And Suzu would be the word for bell. Possible onomatopoeia there. But it's called the Tintinabar in my version. In later versions, I think the much more acceptable Tintinabulum, also called the cat's bell. Restores HP. Wait a minute. The wearer recovers HP with each step taken. The amount gained per step equaling to the wearer's stamina divided by 4. I thought it was the one that gave you money. Is that the miracle shoes? Which is the one that gives you money when you take steps?
Oh, still don't 100% feel like I understand the original reason you were saying it way back when.
Oh, because, in other words, they would be doing this just because they like hearing the rhyme.
Okay.
The alliteration. The jingling, in this case on the front. You know, Wabram was something. Abram as something. Mabram as something.
Okay. And so our word for fox, we had one, right? 'Cause it came out as like key.
Keef. Wait. Because the pronoun is key.
Okay.
The word for fox is quiche.
That's right. Okay, so quiche.
Everybody's just saying verbs now. Like, we're talking about adjectives. I have an alternate proposal once you're ready.
Oh, I had a potential idea to try to move forward with.
Okay, let's go for it. Let's hear it. I'm gonna write my idea down. You write your idea down.
I don't know if it would work though. Well, anyway, I was to go with the tintinabulation idea. You know, the genitive is so it's like if we had like Akish, it may change that quiche somehow, but anyway, like if it were something of the fox, and then we had a noun that was like just started with an but was 2 syllable, then it could be like bump, but like it wouldn't be like both are genitive, but they would both start with so never mind.
Hold on. No. Hold on to that. I think that I don't think I understood you just straight off, but I think you may have come up with the same idea that I did. Let's find an adjective. It's hard to find adjectives in Halgoff because they're all nouns, but
I think we always used one. So if you just search for like space one, you should end
sour
up.
one is rhubarb. Third one, quiet one. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so we got huff in the proto. In this, it will be hoff. Hoff. Hoff is the word for quiet. Okay, and quiche is fox. Write up your examples somewhere, like let's say below the blue tables, maybe.
The blue table, so the nouns?
Yeah.
Before the derivation?
Yeah, just so that we can see it on screen.
Well, this doesn't super work because they won't both start with ah. It's like,
Okay, but your idea.
would they match in case? Like,
That's what we're asking. That's what we're figuring out. So let's just do quiet fox, and now, so that we'll see it in your system, and then we'll choose different ones that are going to illustrate whatever you're talking about.
what order do modifiers go in this language?
They follow.
So, I don't remember how to spell quiche either.
K-I-S-H.
Hoff. There we go. Keisha Hoff.
And what is that?
Well, it's silly. A quiet fox, apparently, of a quiet fox.
Okay, so that's it in the genitive.
Yeah, assuming we mark the modifier in the genitive too to say the whole thing is of. Otherwise, like, so that I'm just making up a word for tongue. Okay, so my original idea was that we would just have like something that happened to start with an ah sound. And then when you follow it with the akish, like it sounds like they're marked in the same case, but they're not, because this is just like what the full noun would be. And I just made up a form.
So this is the fox is a modifier in this?
A possessor, like tongue of the fox.
Yeah.
But this would just be like the noun would happen to start with an A, so it would get that sort of ba-dump sound, but it wouldn't have to be marked in the same case.
So this noun in the nominative is alo.
Yeah. Something.
Okay.
I was trying to go with your idea, but not understanding how the case would work, and so I don't like this idea anymore because of the way you're looking at me and it, and so I would prefer to just move forward with whatever you were thinking.
I don't understand. So well, hold on. Let's stop a moment. This is actually how you would say the tongue of the fox if this were the word for tongue.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. But like you very much don't like this idea.
This isn't an idea. This is how the language works.
I thought it was for the language name. I thought we were coming up with a language name.
That's what you thought we were doing. Now it makes sense. Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
And I thought you wanted.
No. We were coming up with adjectives and deciding if they were going to agree in case or number or not.
Okay.
But you've done something that is very good there, because we were supposed to come up with a word for tongue, and we never did. And the word for tongue was supposed to start with L. This is because we used it in our orthography. But we never did. So Loh seems pretty good to me. So I say let's do it.
It would have to be the 1H, right?
Yes. Yeah, and it's going to come out exactly the same in Haugauf, Proto and Modern. Fox language, it's also going to be the same. It's just a different H. But that, let's do that real quick. Loh Akish. Kind of like that. Wow, we really don't have a lot of straight up nouns. I suppose it doesn't matter. Tongue. All right. We got that.
Okay.
All right.
Like nothing about it changes for the fox?
Not in the romanization. Yeah, we can enter nouns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and enter that. Oh, lovely, 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 lovely. LOH. Perfect. And that will be tongue.
Goodness, I made 7 typos trying to type that out.
And then for the name of the language, what do you think? Leave the full phrase? Loh Akish?
Oh, that sounds kind of nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds like aloha.
Loh Akish. Oh, yeah.
And if they wanted a tintinabulation, they could just aloha quiche. Just for funsies.
That's funny. Do you think that it would just be one word? Or actually, would this be our first language name that is 2 words?
For this?
Yeah, like
I think so.
Ingala, Tapahla, Wokotishu, Sarkeje, Hauhof, Nulisu. Oh my god, we should totally do it. Ooh, boy. Oh, this is exciting.
Do you want me to close the document?
Yes.
Okay, it's closed.
All right. And I am also going to close the document and reopen it. And we now have a new document called Loh Akish.
Yay!
Opening it. Dun dun. And Jesus. Oh my. Oh my.
Oh my gosh. That was David hitting the light. He's so excited. So very excited.
I was excited.
Flung those arms out wide.
Luckily, nothing broke.
Nothing broke. No.
All right. But
Okay.
right on, partner.
Woo! I can't have another.
No?
No.
Oh, because of
Yeah. And so I want you to enjoy it for me. Clink. Okay. I agree, Charles. Loh Akish. That is nice. There's a...
Kopiko, don't say no to going solo.
There's at some point we'll be able to talk about a project we worked on that is a language name with 2 words. But we can't talk about it yet. But it is not our first language name with 2 words.
Where the first word is 3 letters and ends in an H.
And then,
Yep.
I think Bubba's R.I.P. the New Light 2025 to 2025.
That's true. Ajnamari.
Oh, Ajnamari! Oh my gosh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It was the other one just came to mind because it's got something that feels a little similar.
All right, now back to the lecture at hand.
How do we do cool language reveals when we are allowed to talk about it? We honestly just say, "Hey, everyone."
Yeah.
There's a thing that we worked on, and usually by then it's like we worked on it so long ago that it's like, oh yeah. But I think this one I'll be loud.
Okay.
We should start doing language reveals. We should make it a party. Cut open a cake. What language falls out? Ta-da! You have a VSO language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like that. If we were less lazy and really excited about aggressive self-promotion, we could do a lot of things.
Oh, thank you, Bubba. And apparently, not everyone loved Elemental as much as I did. But I rather enjoyed the movie, and I was very excited with how our language showed up in there.
I enjoyed Elemental for 2 reasons. Number one, I thought it was a nice story, and I thought that the reveal about the fire and water touching, I thought that was pretty cool. It was nice. And number 2, one of the central points of it was just that local civic government functions and can do nice things for you. And I think that honestly, civic government doesn't get enough praise. Honestly, the only time that people really talk about government at any level is when government isn't functioning, and it just kind of has helped to build a narrative that we now live in, where the same people that in the US that are the government say that the government is bad, and they mean somebody else somehow.
And also, Jake, you are indeed our number 1 super fan for LangTime Chat, and we appreciate you for that. And Jake shared the link to the Quechua episode.
Yeah. And Jessie especially, because LangTime Chat was entirely her idea. I wasn't even, my brain never wouldn't have even gotten there. Wasn't even on my radar. We done some really nice stuff.
No, I need you to, Jake, then you keep me honest with did I remember to actually post it? Which is actually a problem when we do it too far in advance. I forget that I have a file to process and post, and then it's like, oh no! But you remind me, Jake, and I don't like disappointing you.
We need an adjective word that begins with a vowel.
An adjective-y word?
Mm-hmm.
From Halkoff?
Oh.
Oh, you found it?
Yep. Oh. Well, this is interesting. I didn't even realize this. This language distinguishes O from ow.
Because the L becomes a W in certain cases. Or the L velarized becomes a W, yeah?
Just a regular L at the end of a word.
At the end of a word, okay.
And then ah becomes, or ah stays ah, but a lowers to ah.
Oh, so we have owl
And ow.
Nice. Not nice for me, but nice for those foxes.
So regarding the recent series for LangTime Chat, recall that there are different things that you could do. So one can just be you're sharing a thing. That's long enough to talk about for at least 40 minutes, as opposed to this is my form for the plural and I thought it was cool. That's a little bit too short.
The first episode we did of this series was a conversation with Jake about their comparative construction. And it was just a conversation.
Yeah. And also it's not like it has to be oh, this is my LangTime Chat episode. You can do a bunch of different things. So if you just want to chat about one part of your languages one day, that's cool. If you want to come back and chat about a different language or the same language in a different part, that's cool. And also, you don't have to be there to be getting feedback. You can literally just share it. Yeah, that's all. Big shout out to Madeline James World Builds, who is heading out for a vacation planning phone call with her family.
Is that what you've envisioned?
That is exactly what she said was happening. And it really, no, I'm serious. This isn't a joke.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Honestly.
I thought you were making this up.
No,
and I was like, what an interesting
up.
thing.
Was not making it up. And to me, just reading that, I was my first thought was, I wonder if that's going to be stressful.
Good question.
Because
depends on the family.
And how many people are on the phone call. Because I imagine it's one of those conversations that will be longer than many will think it needs to be. And it will probably feature somebody saying, why don't we just... followed by some suggestion that not everybody agrees with. You know?
It was funny. Jake misread it as vaccination. That is too funny. And I will say, Jonathan, if you are interested in coming on, even just walking through elements of Stefa or what you're working on now with that, also talking about how you're taking your language and turning it into art with the journals and stuff that you use for, that was for Valia, right? Yeah. How you're using that to share your language, just talking about the process that you went through, even talking about the process of you drawing those, the orthography on the journal pages for the video. That is all, I think, very interesting information. So if you just wanted to do an actual chat, I could come up with a lot of ideas that you could do. For LangTime chat.
And yeah, LangTime chat is just for patrons.
Yeah. Jonathan says, what if I just show up without a plan? And you tell me what to talk about.
I would be fine with that, especially if you just send us a language document ahead of time. Okay. All right, so. And now we need a noun that starts with a noun that ends with a vowel.
A noun that ends with a vowel?
Yes, a noun that ends with a vowel.
Do you want one that's already in the language, or do you want to bring a new one in?
Why? Do you have an idea for a word you want to create?
No, I'm asking because I'm searching the Fox language entries right now. We have Lisha is rain.
That'll do. Is it double Z's?
Double Z and then H after those double Z's. But I was just asking to make sure I was searching in the right document. I was not intending to be more industrious than that.
All right. So this is if we do. We need more room. We need more room. I'm gonna
put this with the ideas
onto the next page. And we're going to go below the tables, the blue, yellow, and green tables. And now, give us a case. Or let's do the plural.
I like having holiday and vacation as separate terms for what I'm thinking, because holiday means you don't have to ask for it off work usually, unless you're in a certain group of jobs that don't give any holidays off. But holidays are like just something that everyone is aware of, whereas vacation is very personal.
You can also go for a vacation on a holiday.
Right,
or you can stay home on a holiday.
For a staycation.
Yeah, like, honestly, what do you do over there, Jake? Go on holiday? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's what Jake is saying.
Terrible. All right, so that's the plural.
Ooh, Miles got Thursday remote now, or at least I think that's what Miles is saying. Otherwise, man, that would be really sad if you were like, guess who got Thursday's remote? Not me. Oh, man. Nice.
All right.
I mean, to be fair, we also have bank holidays, because I swear they get extra holidays that none of the rest of us get.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good to note that banks aren't open today. Oh, I should be joining you to see what you're actually doing up there. I see it now.
Have I got this right for Leisha?
Onlisha?
Yeah, I've got it right.
And say we did that one out, didn't we? Or did we not? We did not put it in there, huh? But there's L. Oh, there it is. Onlisha. Yeah.
All right, and now plural. Okay.
We've got Halisha and Walisha, if that's what you're asking.
And so these just have ma in front of them.
Maya.
All right. So what we have here is we call, oh dear. Well, I didn't mean for that to happen. But
Woo-hoo-hoo! Look at that fancy.
Option A, no ornamentation. All right. So basically, this is what this will look like if we don't do anything. Quiche is the word for fox. Lija is rain. Haf is quiet. And au is young or fresh. Okay? So that's what option A would look like if we don't do anything. Option B, feel free to change the color of these, is full agreement.
Miles said that option B needs to be yellow, and I agree. So
Okay.
there we have it.
How do we pluralize something that begins with a vowel? It's cat.
It's ich. Right.
Ham.
Ham, wham. Yeah, it looks like the M just shows up.
So we go full ham on this thing.
We go full ham?
That's right. All right. Then this one in front of an H. Is that just M? What's the locative singular in front of an H and then in front of a vowel? I think it's just an M in front of a vowel.
In front of a vowel, it's just an M.
Okay, that's easy.
In front of an
We might not have done
H. We didn't do an H, but it seems that shows up in front of B.
I like that, Bubba.
On shows up in front of D. What do you think? On shows up in front of Gem. Gem becomes on Gem. On him. Is H initial KH initial? No, because that's Gem. Okay. So I don't know. What happens?
Nothing.
Nothing. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this one is just this, but the H is... what's a locative plural in front of a vowel?
In front of a vowel, it is ma'am.
Got it.
So we have me and mammy.
Okay, that's full agreement. Now, option C.
Mm-hmm.
Euphonious. What's the word I want?
Tintinnabulation.
No, euphonious insertion. That was specifically for Jake and Miles. Oh. We might need to discuss this.
I'm sorry, but my discussion hours ended at 3:30. You should really plan ahead next time.
Okay, but like, if I could have more time, I just need to I'm really gonna buckle down and I'm gonna get this revision done like you asked for, and I'm just trying to abide by the letter of your syllabus and provide you the appropriate revision for my paper for a good grade.
Yeah, the door was already closed. Oh, man. Kobe says Euphonious Tintinnabulation is a fantastic band name.
Okay.
Euphonious insertion, still good. Danielle Dandelion says the Euphonious Monks of Tintern Abbey. It's a good thing there. And yeah, okay.
All right, so I have inserted a vowel in between two consonants and a consonant in between two vowels. I am open to suggestions for both the consonant and vowel. Otherwise, there is no agreement at all.
Magpie points out that for the bottom of row B, the adjectives are in the locative, but not the noun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're not.
I also, did Mao need to change here? No, wait, the M is, does this match?
Yep.
Onkish Mao?
Yep. This one doesn't, though. There we go.
Okay.
But yeah, tell me what you think about the vowel and consonant there for option C. I don't remember if we had another epenthetic. The epenthetic consonant of Loh Akish is H.
Okay.
So
So it's just going to search. Okay.
yeah, so that settles that.
Yeah, we really want that E to become like a flavor of their language. The inserted vowel could be E.
We could.
So like Kishihaf. Hakishihaf. Oh my gosh, Bubba said the same thing. We did share a thought, Bubba. You and I, right there. Are you building up to our poll? Is this our poll, babe?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. This is exciting.
All right. And
Did you read what Karis just wrote? The inserted vowel could depend on the place of the articulation of the preceding consonant.
I hear that. I acknowledge it. I praise it. I reject it.
Not for this language, I guess.
Yeah. Option D.
Oh no. Option D. That doesn't match our 3-color scheme that we had going. Oh, gotta
There's a gray up there.
listen. No, I'm picking out a new color. Oh, you just did as highlighting. That's what you did. I see. I see. And we need more options. Ooh. That one may feel a little bright. Oh, no. I will find the color that I want. Do, 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 do.
Still burns me that all you Brits get to watch Beyond Paradise right now and we don't.
We have to wait. Like,
Yeah.
and apparently last year it was like a 6-month gap. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, we
ridiculous.
gotta wait.
Ridiculous amount of time. This would be
Well, Kara's had a very good idea, just FYI. But okay. What oh, plural agreement. I see.
Yeah. And you see it's
Is-
minimal plural agreement.
So it drops effectively the first consonant or the vowel, depending on what follows. So it's not ha as a full plural.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of ha-hof, you get a-hof. Yeah, that makes sense. I think
Do you want me to reconsider Karis's suggestion?
um for this
What do we got here?
I'm saying words in my head.
What would it be? U for labial, U for velar, E for alveolo-palatal, and then what? Just A for the other ones?
I think for this particular system, we keep it simple. It's going to be, if it's an inserted vowel, it's going to be a steady state one.
Well, I don't know. Do I go with Jessie, my wife and partner, or Karis, the wild card?
My problem with the multi-vowel system is that I feel like these prefixes in their inserted place would effectively be sort of unstressed, and after a while U and E can remain distinct for a while, after a while it ends up kind of becoming a wash, and I feel like something similar or akin to a schwa will just end up being there if there's more than one vowel. If there's one vowel and it's like that's what you expect, even if you say it more schwa-like, because sometimes, let's be honest, in languages we sometimes do this. I don't know. I feel like that actually protects it in a weird way, that it's the same one. And when there's too many going on, I feel like over time they would collapse and either become the same vowel somewhere in the middle, or they would just drop out at some point.
Do you want to get rid of option C2?
Unfortunately, I think maybe. And I just, before you do anything though, I just want to like kind of go through, because like using hof and putting something in between, like we have Bram, Bramihaf, Bramahaf, Deb, Debihaf, Debahaf. The just feels more inserted. And it's so unfortunate because that E vowel is honestly a really, really good one for epenthetic vowels, because cross-linguistically that gets used as I'll just call it a generic epenthetic vowel quite often in languages. It's just for the sounds, because so many of the roots don't have E in them, it's only in certain places, it doesn't feel like a generic epenthetic. It feels like it would be a very special epenthetic, like it would have to be in these kinds of places. I did at first really, really like the pull towards, hey, we could really make this a feature of the language. But it also, I think, creates an interesting pull where it's like you could get these folk etymologies where it's like somehow the is like, because these are coming from nouns originally.
Yeah.
And it's like the fox of the quiet ones. You know, like you kind of get this because the is the genitive marker.
Yeah.
And you could get this sort of folk etymology kind of thing. It could open the door to like some weird things happening in very particular, commonly said things, or idioms that might happen that are only there because people misunderstood what the origin of it was. And so
I also love overlaps like this that are unrelated, like as plural in English, as third person singular in English, and possessive in English. This is why the morphemologists came up with the idea of the morphome. They needed something to be able to explain that there is phonological similarities between all of these suffixes, even though they're unrelated. Hence the morphome was born.
Okay, so the schwa became, by the way, to answer Jake's question, it lengthened previous vowels if it occurred after a vowel. The helicopter agrees. It became an O if a round vowel preceded it, somewhere in the, like the syllable right before, or it became everywhere else. So yeah. It was just dropped and became vowel length or O or ah.
Okay. Also, before we close this off, looking at options A, B, C, and D, do you like all four of them as being potential winners, or do you want to get rid of any?
I guess I'm curious to see how people feel. One of my thoughts was, I'm not sure how I feel about full agreement.
I'm not either.
And so, like, I almost wonder, like, if there's a way to capture the spirit of full agreement, but make it kind of similar to what you did with that plural agreement, where like a smaller bit is retained for the modifiers. And in some cases that would mean forms overlap, because like you could envision a world where the hat and ma prefixes would overlap when a consonant follows it, because they could just be like amau and ahaf, but then in front of a vowel the M and the H would stay, so mau and huff. Or not huff, how.
Yeah.
Whatever, how and mau. That part would stay. So like kind of reducing it where it's like then you get more different forms and you reinforce the case and number marking, but you do it in a way where you're not just straight up repeating the same prefix.
B is getting a lot of votes, so we definitely need to do something to it, because I would be very unhappy if that won.
I'm going to copy this list out that you have here and put a revised version below to see if you like
All right.
it. And if you don't, then, no biggie. And this will be, it gets the whole amau. Interesting. I would need to think about that one. So I need to think about that one a little bit more.
Did chat crash?
Did it?
Or did we crash? Are we still on?
Are we still going? Mine thinks we're still going.
Okay, there. It just took a while.
kind of want to stare at these a little bit longer to get better ideas. So my brain keeps trying to put the wrong things together on the wrong sides. But something where we reduce those prefixes. This is just a first very quick go through. I would need to stare at that a lot more.
Charles Barrow says modified version of A looking better so far, and I agree. It's probably need to pull out the other cases too. I used these as examples, but we need to pull out the other ones. Something that might be interesting, if you think about German, for example, there is, the adjective always agrees with the noun, but the number, in terms of case and number, but the number of forms is radically reduced, right? Mm-hmm. It's only very small number, and it's just how they're kind of spread out. So, yeah, maybe we need to do that. All right, so I think we're all but done, and I think that, yeah, some modified version of B is going to go up. We've got 2 minutes, and then we also have a couple minutes after that since we started late.
Actually, so just while we're shooting the breeze here, David, one thing that could happen is that as it gets reduced, it follows the way you did the plural reduction, where it's like effectively just becomes like the plural, and like case markers effectively disappear if it's a plural modifier. But in the singular, some of those cases stick around a little bit longer, and so you get like the O vowel coming through, or you get the W coming through. Like, so one thing we could do across the system for that B is that plurals only get the A, and we gotta figure out, I guess, the AM if it is a vowel initial. Yeah. They only get that. But then it's the singular, and, ho and home may end up overlapping, accusative and illative. A and wa, the genitive and allative, may end up overlapping.
If you, one thing I was thinking about, because we have these noun tables that are already set up. Mm-hmm. You jump down to cat, because that one is, I think, easy to work with. Mm-hmm. Brahm might be next, but you can kind of see that the common element for the plurals is indeed this am, mm-hmm. and so you could see that kind of just reducing to am. For the singular, you see 3 forms essentially, or, well, the nominative, right, ich, but then we, mm-hmm. and then you could think about this reducing to just he, mm-hmm. and this one to mich, and then the allative would just be he, and the illative would be mich. Mm-hmm. Let's go up to Brahm, because I think that one is the most similar to quiche. Here we have the a form that's in common. It would just be a across the board. And then if we were reducing it here, o, we got that ohm. And ohm again.
Ohm there, because it's a B, it's on in front of a alveolar and ong in front of. Yeah. So that nasal really changes a lot.
Yeah.
And it disappears entirely in front of a geminate, like VVFF situation. And so the O is like, I think the only thing that actually sticks in the locative until you get to ich. And so that could actually be an interesting thing, where it's either O in front of a consonant or an M in front of a vowel for that locative form just across the board.
Yeah.
So like Ohof and then Mao. Oh, I guess that's what I kind of did up there already.
Yeah, Jake is saying, wouldn't this be equivalent to saying agreement patterns were established before the case stacking expanded the number of cases? Kind of, but not completely. Because we are talking about reducing the size of the accusative and potentially, if it starts with a consonant, right, making the locative, illative, and accusative the same. Is that what you had mentioned doing?
Yes. Illative, accusative, because they all have the
'Cause
O
you did,
thematic.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to double check the cases and what they
Yeah.
had. So genitive, allative, yes. Accusative, genitive, illative gets the O treatment. Yeah.
All right. So this, we're going to call this partial agreement.
I think we just need to type what we just set out because you're not going to see it here.
Yeah, but I get it. Here, I'm actually going to make a note for myself here. Because it's really clear what's happening in front of vowels. It's only in front of a consonant where there's much more radical reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fantastic. All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing how this poll turns out this week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next Thursday.
Streamio, Langkin. I tried to say Langkin.
That's something.
That's weird. It already turns into a velar nasal before a K, and so when you try to,
it just sounds like you have a southern twang on the word Lincoln. Lincoln.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Interesting. All right, everyone. Stay grammar.
All right. Bye, everybody.